So everyone that I know that knows you, Sasha, says the same thing, that you have this incredible, amazing rise to success. The story talking about going through different trials and tribulations. So for myself and my audience, those listening and watching, tell us a bit about that story and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how much time we have, but so I was born in Scarborough. My mother was an addict, so she was, battling addictions. I have a couple different siblings as well. During that time, I was in and out of foster care, in and out of her care, on and off the streets as a young child. Before I was permanently placed in foster care, in property of Crown Ward. All of my siblings had fathers to go to, whereas mine died in jail when I was young.
Wow.
So I didn't have the father to go to, or the other household, the other half. So I was placed in foster care. I was adopted by a beautiful family, and where I have adopted siblings as well. Grew up, I was the only black child in the family, black person in the family. My dad's Maltese, my mom is Canadian, my
Got you.
sister's Korean, and then my two brothers are, they're biological to my parents.
Got you.
So we grew up, I moved out of the city in a smaller town. A lot of racism. I think I was like one of the only black kids at the school, let alone girls, like black girls. So I dealt with a lot of intentional and unintentional racism,
Right.
and just growing up very different, very different. I was very close with my parents, and particularly my father. So he embedded a lot of confidence in me. He really nurtured my gift of gab. He really made sure I felt loved and special. And, I think you could feel different in a bad way, or you could feel different in a good way, right? You can be
love
better
that.
or bitter from that. And I
course.
decided to take the high road. I was definitely a confident, resilient, bold, outspoken girl, which I took a lot of those characteristics, and they are who I am today. In my household, I was loved for those things, but outside of my household, I was
Not so
hated for
much.
those things.
Got you.
And it's funny because I tell even my daughter and a lot of young adolescents now, a lot of the things that you're going to be hated on for are going to be your greatest achievements, characteristics, traits. I was told I talk too much. I'm getting paid to talk now. I was told, you're too loud, you're too bossy, but now I'm a leader, right? So it's about being in the right environment, right? And your environment doesn't have to, it's not your destiny, but
Right.
it's going to influence you, right?
Right. On that
So,
note, when
yeah.
you're talking about depends on your environment, it made me think of, so similar to you, growing up, some would call me stubborn. But stubbornness cultivated in the right environment is persistence,
There you go.
right? So I could relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all about like how you flip it and how
Yeah.
you do it, right?
Yeah.
And how you see it, because those words could have stopped me in my tracks.
Of course.
Oh, you're too bossy. Oh, I need to be more quiet. No,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? I use my voice. I've grown into that, right? So, fast forward, always was playing soccer. Soccer got me through high school. I wasn't a very book smart girl, I would say. I skipped a lot of school. And I kind of just
Cruise
got by. Yeah,
Yeah.
cruised by, made it.
Yeah.
When out of high school, I got into journalism broadcast. I wanted to be on TV. And it's funny because not a lot of people know this, but I am on HGTV now. A lot of people know that. I do a lot of social media. I love the camera. Camera loves me. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of practicing when I was young, like for fun. I would pretend to be on TV. I would pretend to do commercials. I would pretend to sell stuff. I would pretend to
Right.
do all these things. So I say that to say if you're still looking to see what your purpose is, sometimes it lies in like the little things you do as a child. Sometimes it lies in the little enjoyments that you grew up, you know what I mean? But it's up to you to kind of form and turn that into your livelihood, right? So
I agree with that. It makes me think of like, so I grew up as an only child.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I have a half brother and half sister, which, by the way, I just met last year because my dad lives in London, UK. And so I grew up as an only child. So a lot of times, I say this now without feeling any type of embarrassment, I used to talk to myself. I used to talk to the wall.
Yeah.
Right? Because as a kid, I'm sure you understand, you have a lot of imagination
Yeah.
and whatever. So I just used to just talk and talk and talk. And so I could totally relate to you saying, like, you know, a lot of the things that you can do as a child can end up being your superpower, right?
Exactly. And I'm so happy that you said something that like you can say it without embarrassment, because we grow up, like, I feel like isolated to our own experience. This is all we know. When I share my story, which there's a lot more to share,
Yeah.
it's all I know. So people are like jaw dropping, like, oh my goodness, that happened to you? Like, you were found on the floor eating nail polish before CAS took you away? Like,
That's crazy.
I tell these stories and people are like, right? But it's my norm.
Right.
Right.
The baseline.
And it's come to a point, and for the longest time, there was embarrassment. It was, I'm
Interesting.
adopted, I'm Black, I'm the only one, da, 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 right? But then it became like there was a turning point at some point where it was like, you own that. You own your struggles. You own what made you different. You own those stories. Like, you know, it probably wasn't easy to say you talk to yourself, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't easy for me to say a lot of the things. But when I became more vulnerable, literally, which was only a couple more years ago, is when it was one of the two times, the other time was giving my life to Christ. Those two times were pivotal, like life-changing moments in my life.